This is Bruss Hamilton, and when I'm not educating my opponents with lessons in pain, I'm right here listening to the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode number 147 of the Sit Down Mars podcast. Welcome, everybody. Come on in, sit down. It's your boy DB, and today, man, do I have one for you today, man. You probably seen this guy on TV last night breaking up Gunther and Jay in a big brawl, and you probably seen him on TV a lot of other times too, but there couldn't be anybody really more busier on the independent wrestling, pro wrestling circuit right now as this guy right here, man. He's got a unique throwback look we haven't seen in quite some time, and he is a top attraction on any wrestling show. And, oh, by the way, he is a World Strength Games champion, so we're going to be talking about that. So welcome to the podcast, the Gentleman Barbarian, Bruss Hamilton. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing really good. Been looking forward to this one, so happy to be here.
Thank you, brother. I got to see you over the weekend, man. You had a big match against Fowler and Dreamwave. We're going to talk about that, man. Hey, first of all, thanks for being here, man, because I know you're tired, man. Last night you were in Nashville, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. You had your hands on Gunther last night, man. How was that feeling?
That's surreal for me. It's definitely a bucket list item to be able to do anything in the ring with him because I've stated on other podcasts and things that he is my all-time favorite wrestler. I really love everything he does. So to be a part of something with him was fantastic.
Man, well, that's super dope. So you got to check off like some bucket list stuff last night, man. So that was cool, man. Did you get to chat with him and all, outside of the wrestling work, or, did you guys keep it business?
Yeah, no, when you're doing the extra work, it's best to be seen and not heard.
Absolutely, it is, man. I get it, brother. So let's jump into it, man. I have had the pleasure, dude, of introducing quite a few of your matches now that you've been on the scene for a little while. And then one of the times I introduced you, man, I introduced you at we were doing a festival. I believe it was the Sweet Corn Circus in Normal. You came out, man, and this wasn't planned, man, but like as you came through that curtain, man, I look at you, and not to steal anything from any other previous wrestlers, but I looked at you, man, and I told the crowd, I said, feast your eyes on Bruss, the Gentleman Barbarian, Bruss Hamilton, man, and it just felt right at the time, man. And your appearance is, as you've probably heard a ton of people tell you, your appearance is like one of a kind, unique, man. So how did that whole thing come about, man? And of course, of course your size is a big part of it, but how the Gentleman Barbarian come about?
So the Gentleman Barbarian concept is one that I think that I believe that everyone can relate to. I know that I can. It's just an extreme version of what I believe is what it means to be like a complete man. As an adult, as a father and a husband, there are men out there that are always tough, right? They're always tough 100% of the time. And then there are other men that are soft 100% of the time. And it's been my personal belief that to be that kind of man is the incorrect way, and that you have to be capable of both. Because if you're hard all the time, you're going to hurt everybody around you. And if you're soft all the time, you're not going to be able to help anybody around you. So you have to be able to know when to be tough and when to be soft. And that's where the whole Gentleman Barbarian concept came from, was to try and put a face and a likeness to that thought process.
Right. I mean, obviously, man, like I said, you're quite the specimen. The visual appearance is a big part of that. And everybody looks at you instantly and they go, "Oh man, this guy's been bodybuilding for a long time, man." Talk about that background, man. Your strength games, and being like a world-class bodybuilder.
Okay, well, just for definition of terms, but I was not a bodybuilder.
Okay,
it's a different sport. But that's a common misconception, right? Most people don't live in the weightlifting world. Everyone's just a bodybuilder or a power lifter. So I was a competitive strongman, and I started, I would say, started seriously in 2017. But I've been lifting for the better part of 16 years, and decided to take it up into real competition in 2017, sorry, and just started out. It kind of just like you do with wrestling. You kind of start out at the local shows and see how you do against the competitors, and once you start winning, all right, well, let's go up to the regional level, like, of the state, then let's go to the state level, then let's go to the regional level of the country, and then let's go to nationals, and eventually you're at a world championship, and you just slowly just start. I mean, at any time in the sport of strongman, you could go. It's pay to play, so they'll let you sign up at any level of contest, but whether you're ready or not for that level of contest is what was the deciding factor for me. So I just slowly climbed the ladder over the years and won the World Strength Games in 2023 in the under 265-pound class.
Nice. So, let's talk about your tattoos, man. I don't know if anybody's talked to you too much about, your tattoos and stuff. So how did that all start? Is there a little bit of an addiction there? I know a lot of people, get addicted after, getting a couple of them, but you've got quite a good bit, and it's a big part of your of your appearance, man. So, let's talk about those and maybe some that you have.
Yeah, so these are all kind of like a Norse / Gaelic style art.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all kind of based around that barbarian mindset, and the story of a barbarian. On the forearm, like, we've got Mjolnir into a berserker with, like, the spirit of the bear around him, and it kind of climbs up the arm and onto the chest, where you have a wolf fighting a bear on my chest, and on the back there's, like, the Valkyrie ship coming down to take basically the warrior that doesn't want to quit. That's why I have the undead warrior underneath the raven on my back and everything.
Nice.
And I actually got the tattoos starting a couple years ago, basically almost just over the span of 1 year, at Filament Tattoo in Wabash, Indiana, by Roger Price. And he's a fantastic artist that can almost do any style. He's got a very unique style of his own, but was willing to compromise to kind of adapt to my ideas here. But he was a big part of the creative behind this as well, of how we wanted to piece it together. And the whole idea, the only reason why I got these tattoos was for the character. I wanted to. The Gentleman Barbarian was the concept I created when I first decided to get into pro wrestling. When I 2021, 2022, when I signed up for Black and Braid, there's a 2-year waiting list. I made the decision that, hey, I'm going to go and win a world title, and then I'm going to go to pro wrestling. So I signed up and basically went all in and started getting these tattoos once I decided on a character. Just to it gives that barbarian look, right? The ancient, give that idea of, like, that's what you see in the movies, and maybe it's not so historically accurate, but it's what society accepts, and I thought it had a great aesthetic appeal.
Yeah, it definitely does. So now are you kind of getting them more on the regular? Now that you're deep into.
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. All right. I hear you, man. Yeah.
I'm done. I don't have the money for that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay. So you talk about Black and Brave, man. So when did the idea pop in your head that, hey, I think I'm going to wrestle?
There was a weird time in strongman where I'm lifting, and I used to have long hair, but it was a mohawk long hair. And I went by the nickname the Pocket Viking in strongman. And because I'm short, and my beard was very, very large and long. And I had the haircut that that was done on all the Viking television shows. And so I was, working a gimmick even in strongman, and it just it got repeated to me all the time. Like, oh man, I could see you being a professional wrestler. I could see you being a professional wrestler. And I had never watched it or considered it or really got into it. And then in Fort Wayne, Indiana, WWE came by and did a house show, and what old Bobby Roode came out with that, and I'd never seen him before, but he had that entrance song, "Glorious."
Right.
And so my wife, myself, and my kids are all watching this show, and he came out, and the fireworks are going off, and that music hit, and it was just it was powerful entrance, and we
Sure.
loved it. And the kids were getting so into the crowd, and my wife just kind of looked at me, and so I have all these people in strongman asking me, if I had ever considered it. My wife looked at me, and she's looking at all these guys, and there's a little arrogance there where she's like, "You're bigger than these guys. Why aren't you doing it? You're stronger than these guys. Why aren't you doing it?" And I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, if they could do it, I could do it. And let me just tell you, that was a bad attitude to have. but it kind of just started, and I had a grass finished beef business, and we were at a crossroads. We either needed to invest money, a lot of money, to expand the business as it was gaining some momentum and becoming a success, or I needed to basically say, hey, I'm not done in strongman yet. We need to go all in for a world title and chase that dream. And then once that's achieved, basically I basically decided that, hey, I'm going to leave the ranch alone, leave the beef business alone, and I'm going to go chase the strongman dream. And then we're going to go to a new one. We're going to use my body for a new one. And I'm going to go into pro wrestling and see what I can do and chase another star,
Yeah. Nice. That's a cool story, man. Yeah, I didn't know anything about the beef business. I mean, we've talked, that kind of stuff, but so that's cool, man. But before we move on, like, did you have, did you watch wrestling as a kid? Stone Cold, did you ever see him, stun some people? Like, is
So
there
yeah,
anything there?
I knew about Stone Cold. I knew Triple H, The Rock, Undertaker, Kane. But that's about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know indie wrestling was a thing. Never heard of ECW. Never saw WCW. Had no clue what the NWO was.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a little bit of the Attitude Era, and then got made fun of a lot as a kid for watching it. And I just decided that, well, if this is stupid, I'm not going to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
And kind of just fell off the wagon. And just did not really grow up. Well, I can't say I didn't grow up a fan. I say that often just to simplify it. I really was, I think, deep down a fan of pro wrestling, because I was just, man, Stone Cold Steve Austin was so awesome. And I thought he was so awesome. I still
Everybody
do.
loved him.
Yeah, and so just that, and Kurt Angle. I remember Kurt Angle too. I was a huge Kurt Angle fan, with his shoot background, and I just kind of fell off the wagon as a kid, a young kid, elementary school, and just never watched again until I became an adult and decided to pursue it myself.
All right, so you're pursuing it yourself. You're going to Black and Brave. Did you know who Seth Rollins was?
I knew a little bit, because once I decided to go to that school, and the main influence for me to go to that school, because I just did a Google search at the time, and that school and Cody Rhodes School were the only two that popped up in Google. I couldn't find anything else.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, it must be, wrestling schools are few and far between, is basically what I was thinking.
Sure. Yeah,
and so Black and Brave was closer to my house. And so basically when I got it narrowed down to those two schools, because it was the only options that I saw, I started researching each wrestler. And so I really dug into not Seth Rollins' work in the ring as much as who he was in interviews and his documentaries. And so I really studied him and Cody Rhodes to decide which one of these guys I wanted to learn from. And they both looked like just phenomenal. Obviously they're at the top of the game, and both have been, and each had their own path to get there. And very talented, very hardworking, and it takes that kind of work ethic. But there was just something about Seth in his interviews, the way he thought, the way he spoke, the way he carried himself. It just felt like it was just very business oriented.
Right.
And I knew with the financial and personal investment that I was making when I decided to get into pro wrestling, because I knew when I talked to my wife, I said, hey, I didn't say I wanted to try this out. I said, hey, I'm going to make this my job. That's the goal. So
Right.
I knew that I wanted to go to a school where I felt that everyone was going to be on the same wavelength.
Right.
That same thought process, at least on the coach's side. And there was just something about him in the interview process that, and I don't know how much of those interviews are at work and how much of those are a shoot, but I bought into it and decided to go to his school, and they provided housing, and it was very convenient, only 5 hours or so away from my house. And
All right. Nice. So you walk in, obviously, day zero is what everybody talks about. Give me a quick couple notes about yours. It's just absolute hell, right?
yeah, that was it was really funny. I had a preconceived notion of what I thought pro wrestling was going to be like, training for it. So I had actually bulked before going into the class. And so,
Yeah.
and then I'm known now for drinking a gallon of milk a day. And so I had a gallon of chocolate milk in my stomach going into day zero. So I
Yikes.
definitely vomited, I definitely vomited.
Yeah.
And it's no joke, but I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. And
Thank you for your service, sir.
with almost that style of training. So once I saw the direction it was going, because it had a little bit of a slow build, like they don't just start running around and move. It had a slow build, and once I started seeing where this was going, I was like, okay, let's buckle down. This is about to suck,
Right.
Let's go
Right.
ahead. Yeah.
Was a lot of your military training transition to wrestling?
I would say so, because I know that as a young man I was highly immature, and the Marine Corps kind of gave me my grit, kind of taught me, because you don't have any options in the Marine Corps. You're either going to do it or they're going to lock you up, and then you're going to do it.
Right.
So
Yeah. You're right. So you might as well do it, right?
yeah, exactly. So you don't have to. So it's like no matter what happens, you just kind of have to get over it and do it. You have to show up on time. You have to have a clean uniform. You have to have everything done a certain way. And I think that the discipline that the Marine Corps gave me has translated wonderfully into pro wrestling. And would be my advice to any up and coming pro wrestlers, that are as new as me or even newer, that is something that will set you apart, and has helped me get on every show that I've been on, is that I am usually very prepared for anything that needs to happen.
Right. Because preparation is professionalism. And I'll say this without saying any names, man. I've been in the game a long time. There's a lot of independent wrestlers that could benefit from going to military disciplinary training. Like it could transition over into locker rooms a lot. But all right. So best decision you ever made, Ray? Go to Black and Brave, train up. What's your best memory of training?
I think that my time in the class, my best memory of training was just, I talk about, that I'm like one of the most insecure human beings on the planet. And I've talked about before that my entire life, I've been like a black sheep, almost even in my own home, my own family, growing up and as an adult, and trying to figure out who and what I am and where I fit in the world and everything. And when I got to pro wrestling school, best memory is that they just didn't care. They accept you for who you are. It doesn't matter to them as long as you're putting in the work, you're trying, you stay humble, you're respectful, like all the simple things that make a person a good person, that if you have all those qualities, then it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. They'll embrace you as you are. And so that making that realization while I was in training, that it was like an aha moment, like, okay, I tried the Marine Corps and I didn't really fit. I tried strongman, I didn't really fit. And then I come into pro wrestling and it was like, aha, this is where I belong. I think I finally made the right call.
Right. Yeah, I think you made the right call too. There's a lot of people that think you made the right call. So you're out of training, man. You start logging the miles. I think I met you when you were graduating the next week, I think, or something like that. When you had came down to Iron Spirit Pro, you were or had just graduated. There's a lot of Black and Brave guys down there: Solomon Matupu, Shane Boucher, Gunner Brave. You came to help set up. And I think your next visit after that match was your first match, I believe, after that, when you came back up. So let's talk about your first match, man. It was against Shane Boucher, Iron Spirit Pro. I was lucky enough to be the announcer for that. I can relate, man, because I remember your jitters that day.
Oh boy, they were bad. The thing I love to talk about that is, it's I was very blessed to be able to do it with Shane Boucher, someone I know and trust and who has mentored me in the world of pro wrestling. But I remember standing in front of the curtain, hearing you call, waiting for the music to hit. And I was in my head, like, in the locker room, they got that door by the ramp. And I was like, I could leave. I did training. We did it. I could leave. I could never look back. And I don't think anyone would be ashamed. Like, I could just move on. And, I was so scared to go through that curtain, man.
Yeah, man, I remember that a lot, man. And but you kept telling yourself, you kept saying, Shane's going to take care of me. It's the best guy that you could have put on. Do you remember if you won or lost that day, Bruss?
Oh, he got me in the end.
Yes, he did. Do you remember the exact date of that day, Bruss?
Oh God, I know it. I feel like it was in May.
Does May the 11th, 2024 sound right?
That sounds right. Yes, May 11th. It was either the 11th or the 18th, and I do think it was the 11th.
All right. Well, I did a little digging, brother, and I put a little something together for you, man. So I found the poster from the first show that you had, where you had your first match, and I found my actual ring card of you and Shane on it, and I framed it up for you, and I'm gonna give this to you the next time I see you at Dreamwave or something like that, man. But this is
a secret. Holy cow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was able to find the poster and had to do some digging to find the ring card, because I never throw them away, because maybe stuff like this I'd want to go back, but I'm gonna get this to you, man. This is from your very first match, brother. So
that means so much to me, man. I am so bad keep faith and keeping cataloging the memories and everything. So that means a lot to me.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
No problem. We'll talk about it later. So you've been booked consistently since then, man. Sometimes, sometimes 4 times a week, logging the miles. You're in the life now. You're one of the busiest out there. So how's the body holding up? How does it feel to be a pretty in demand, independent pro wrestler?
Well, it definitely makes me feel vindicated. Everyone likes to feel like their work is being rewarded. And my view about the reward, especially in this industry, the reward for working hard is more work, and I invite it.
Right.
And so, that's what we're trying to do, is keep getting the reps, keep getting the name out there, build my brand, build my platform, entertain the masses as much as I can, to bring what I have tried to cultivate as a what I view as a pretty unique style of wrestling. It's a little bit of there are guys that are like me, but not exactly like me. There are guys that I'm like, that I'm not exactly like, with my style. And I know that it just, the lifestyle, the lessons learned,
Mm-hmm.
and how to make it cost effective has been I actually have been thinking about starting a vlog for new and upcoming wrestlers about what I do to save money on the road, because I think you and I talked about it there at Dreamwave, about I sleep in my car now, and I've made a little bed in the back, and where that way I can be on the road for 3 days a week, and it doesn't cost me $180 to $300 worth of hotel stay, because we don't get paid that much. So it's like I have to find ways to cut costs. What I do with food to maintain my size and my strength and everything, that has all been major adjustments. What I've had to do in the gym to change my lifting style, so that when I sit for 6 hours worth of driving, I don't have an injured hip when I stand up. Because sometimes I pretty intensely.
Right. So what's your favorite part, man? You like being a heel?
I do love being a heel. I do thoroughly enjoy being a heel, but I think that's a control thing, because my favorite part of pro wrestling, of conducting a match, is listening to that crowd And so when I get to run my heat and I get to feed off of the energy they're giving, and I can get that reaction from them, and I can help that face get over and get that sympathy we're looking to get. It just, again, it's one of those rewards you're looking for. It's one of those, okay, I'm vindicated. I am doing this the right way.
Yeah, and you're wrestling a bunch of different kind of styles. You know, when you're an independent wrestler, you're hitting all different kind of styles. We're going to talk about Fowler, coming up too. But before we get there, man, like, is wrestling, is it conducive with your shoot job?
Yeah. So I'm a CNA. And I work a night shift tonight. After we do this interview, I'll be headed off to work as we discussed. And I am lucky to work for an agency. So what that means is I work for a company that contracts out to long-term care facilities that can't staff their buildings. So they hire, like, I'm like a temporary employee for a day or a couple of days or whatever the contract could be. And so I basically just make my own schedule. I pick whatever shifts I want for however long I want, whenever I want, and I make them fit my wrestling week.
Oh, well, that's super helpful. Nice. Yeah. All right, let's talk about a little wrestling, man. So this past Saturday night, man, you went 1-on-1 with Fowler. Not sure if you guys have locked up before, but I watched the whole show and obviously your match earlier today. Talk about going into a mindset of, going in to wrestle, say somebody like Fowler. I mean, dude's a super pro. He's got a lot of different arsenal, in his arsenal, I guess. So. Just talk about going into a match like that. Like, what do you prep for? Like, what's the mindset usually?
Especially with him being a name in the Midwest. He's at the top of every card he's on. Getting to be able to have my debut against a talent like that, I definitely had to have my confidence and really know, like, okay, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. Now, how does that fit with what he does? And I think that actually his style is one of my favorite styles to work. He's such a heavy striker.
Mm-hmm.
And that works great for me because, especially as a heel, when you're a babyface, if what you're going to do in that ring is run and flip and jump and kick and punch, and I can stand there and make you look like $1 million doing all that, being the big slow guy that I am, then I think that the styles really complement each other because as you witnessed, once I got my hands on him, he got to make me look like $1 million as I tossed him all around the ring, so I wouldn't hit me in the dang face anymore.
Yeah.
So,
you got this like torture rack, like spinning power bomb finisher. You got a name for that?
Yeah. That is, it's just a torture rack bomb that I do. And that's just what I learned it was called, the rack bomb. I don't really have any names for any moves yet.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a true finisher. I think that I base my finish off of my opponent. I'm a strong guy, and so basically if I decide that this is the end of the match and I put you onto the mat with a big move, I'm going to go, that's just the finish and that's how it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about kind of what's got you a little tired today, man. So you were on, you've gotten a lot of WWE Extra work, man. There's a little picture that kind of went viral of CM Punk kind of staring at you as a WWE security guard. You've had a lot of experiences. Last night you were in the opener, the lead in of Raw on Netflix, man, and you broke up a big fight between Jay and Gunther. Talk about that experience, being there last night in Nashville, the energy, like, being able to work a spot like that with Gunther and Jay and you've got a lot of spots here, man. So this, just talk about, your time of the compilation of all those, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. So the WWE Extra work, is given out by Gabe Sapolsky. He runs all of that, and now he's in charge of the WWE ID program. He's the creative and booker for WWE Evolve. and he's really got his plate loaded down, and he still maintains all the extra talent as well and books us that way. And so if anyone ever wants to do WWE extra work, get on the WWE recruit portal and do the application like you're applying to be a recruit for WWE, and get a one-on-one consultation with Gabe, because they're worth every penny. You know, he's the guy who's looking at the indies for the company.
Right.
Or get to one of his seminars if you could. That way he knows who you are and can try and get you some extra work too if he needs a body or whatnot. And Gabe has been very good to me with when it comes to the extra work. Luckily, all the dates that I've wanted to get on have almost always lined up, and he's had an opening for them, and it's been great. And now to talk about the actual extra work. I think it's a great experience, you know, especially someone like me who never really knew how this world worked.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to go behind the scenes after spending a little bit of time on the indies and seeing how the top company works and how the top wrestlers work and how everyone does it, it's very enlightening and humbling and humanizing of them, because of course we look up to them. They're gods, right? They're where we all want to be. So
Yeah.
what are they like? What do they do that's different? And I got to be honest, when you watch them plan and call their matches and how creative is calling the shots and everything, and it's not much different at all. And that was very eye-opening for me, that it really just looks like they're doing what we're doing, and they're just doing it much better than we are on a much grander stage.
Right.
And so that just means it takes time, rep, and effort, right, to get caught up. And all the moments I've had, like I got to catch Braun Strowman jumping off the top rope, and I got to catch Bronson Reed doing a suicide dive, and I got to catch Jay doing a suicide dive last night.
Right.
I catch a lot of people. That's basically what I do for them. And then the CM Punk spot where they lowered the Hell in the Cell, and we were all standing in the ring while it happened. So, I got to be in the ring while the cell was down, and Punk staring at me. And honestly, you can't talk too much about the stuff that goes backstage, because it's not about me. And that I think, honestly, I'll leave the details out. Just I don't want to get in any trouble with it. But I will say that the biggest takeaway I've gotten from it is like learning your role, as a security guard. The show is not about me. I'm a background actor. I'm the important person out there, but I'm still an integral part of the show. And so I have to learn how to make my part happen, make it look real, but also stay the hell out of the way so it can be about the actual stars. And that was a lot of fun to learn how to do that as well.
Yeah. I think it would be cool just to be a small part of like something big like that. So, is the catering legendary as ever they say it is?
Absolutely, my favorite part. I eat a lot, and they just let you eat as much as you want. I mean, think about getting extra work, right? Even if they don't use you, you get to hang out backstage and see everybody. You get free food for the day, and you get to take it home, and they're paying you to watch the show live.
Right.
It is just such a great experience that everyone, if they can do it, should do it.
Yeah, and Sabotage was there with you last night too, Sean Logan. So you got to do it with somebody you're already working with a lot.
And I failed to bring that up. That's another thing too. You meet all kinds of indie wrestlers from all over the nation, and it's a good networking. You get to shake a lot of hands. Hey, you follow me, I'll follow you, kind of thing, and then you guys start talking online, and then soon you're helping each other get booked at each other's promotions, and now you're traveling more, and you get more experience and a bigger name out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's jump back to the indies, man. Is there any dream matches on the indies you want to have?
I know one major one for me, just because it's close to my heart, because he's been helping me since I was a student, is one called Manders. Just a big old hoss fight we could have,
Yeah, buddy, we'd watch that all day.
Smash mouth match, but and just climbing the ladder where I'm at, like every promotion, like if I could just, like, CSW, getting with Conan Lycan, getting with Solomon Tupu. Obviously, I have a preference. I really do like wrestling the big guys. I like having those big on big matches. A lot of fun because then I actually get to work a little bit. I'm getting bumped around and doing it like that. A big dream match, and I hate that he injured his bicep because I think we were going to start building something there at IWR because I got to get in the ring with him, was Jake something. Um, and he's one of the ones I've been closest with being compared to, as we're both just like Neanderthal type wrestlers that get in the ring and big boom, mess you up kind of style.
Yep.
And so to have a clash of that with Jake would be something phenomenal. Just anything, just any name that I could get. It's like I've been asked this before about, like, oh, is there anyone you prefer dream matches and stuff? And it's like, I'm so new in the business that almost every match I'm in is a dream match because I'm learning something new. I'm getting something new out of it. Fowler was a dream match. Hartenbauer was a dream match. I had, Dion Roosman was a dream match. I've had these dream matches just because every tier of wrestling that I'm in, there's someone that's at the top of it that I'm like, oh man, I really want to wrestle them. Then I get to that tier and I see that next level and I'm like, oh man, I really want to wrestle. And I'm just trying to hit every rung of the ladder and get everybody I can.
Yeah, love it, man. All right, man. A couple more questions, man. I'm gonna let you get out of here. So, where did Bruss Hamilton, the name, come from?
So I have a friend that I used to work. I used to do social work with. His last name is Bruss. And he was a big part of me starting to kind of even think. He was one of those guys that talked about pro wrestling and how it might be something I could do. And he was a big. That time period of my life was very difficult. My wife was in college. Social work is unforgiving work with a lot of demand, and can be very mentally and emotionally draining and stressing, particularly where I was. And he was a rock for me. He was someone that I was able to, again, I could take the mask off and just be me around. He could be himself. And so kind of taking his last name and making it my first name was a way to honor him, with him kind of helping me plant the idea that maybe I was capable of this and sparking that interest into pro wrestling. And so I wanted to somehow pay homage to him. And Bruss just has that. I just love the ring of it. I love the sound.
Yeah.
Solid name.
Yeah.
And then Hamilton just kind of felt right after. No kind of inspiration with the last name Hamilton. Just Bruss Hamilton. Just kind of, I feel like it was just enough to even make you feel like a gentleman barbarian. Like the name fit the gimmick.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it does, man. It's a unique name, and it fits your uniqueness, and yeah, it totally fits you, man. Like I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, yeah, that's a good working name. Like that's, and for it just fits. It's like Brute, you know what I mean? But Bruss, you know what I mean? It's kind of like where we end up. But so tell me about home life, man. Do kids enjoy dad being a wrestler?
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially now that I'm on promotions with like IWTV or Triller or High Spots or something, like, so we have all those apps, and so when I'm wrestling, they can actually watch it live or watch it back. Like Chicago style wrestling, they don't live stream it, but they do post it so the kids can see those matches and everything. But I have 6 of them, and so it's very. They don't get to see my matches very often, just because it's difficult. I can't ask my wife to pack up all the children and come sit at a at a wrestling show late at night with a 16-year-old down to a 2-year-old all by herself because I've got my own thing to do.
Yeah.
So but I know that they like it. They like seeing the extra work and just kind of just like giving them that, like, oh wow, this is what my dad does, and definitely a cool thing.
That's cool, man. So so you were just in WWE last night, man. Is that the end goal? I mean, you got 6 mouths to feed, so we got to get you a contract. So right.
Right. That's right. That's what I tell people, when we talk about the business side of the indies and everything, and what my goals are, what my rate is with what I do. I price everything based off of my uniqueness, and and definitely safety as well, because, I can take a 300-pound grown man and catch him on my shoulder if I have to keep him alive.
Yeah.
I'd like to be compensated for that, and I have mouths to feed, and want to be compensated for that. The contract would be fantastic, but I've always said the end goal is I don't know if I'll be satisfied until I main event WrestleMania.
Oh,
I always shoot big. I don't think there's any reason to do anything unless you're trying to be number one. Why put effort? Why put time? Why ask my wife and kids to sacrifice their time and our family dynamic for me to pursue a selfish dream? And then I look at them and say, well, I'm just going to treat it casually. No, you can't do that. I can't make that demand of them and then not make the same demands of myself.
Yeah.
So end goal is the main event WrestleMania.
That's it, brother. I love that outlook, man. So where you at the rest of the month, man? Where you at this weekend? Where can anybody see if they want to check out Bruss Hamilton?
So this weekend on Saturday, going to be in or around St. Louis. I can't remember the city on Saturday, but at MWC, going to be. I guess this is kind of a dream match. A former reality of wrestling champion, Matty Ice. I've got a singles match with him at MWC right there around St. Louis on the Illinois side of the border. And then haven't been told what I'm doing yet, but I'll be at Glory Pro in St. Louis on Sunday. And that kind of makes my weekend. I'd have to look at I go week to week, right? There's so much to do on my home side and my shoot life and then the work life, that I really only look at the calendar of like, what week am I on? Okay, this is what I'm doing that week, and then I don't look until the next week. I have to think about those.
Right. Where am I going? Yeah.
I don't know if I can pull up my calendar on here without shutting this off.
No worries. Yeah. No, that's good, man. No, but I tell you this, man. I can tell you, Dreamwave, man, you're a great addition to our roster there. That's where I see you at the most, and looking forward to seeing what's in store for you there at the future. But you're at Dreamwave. You're at AAW, CSW, Zawa, Iron Spirit, all over the promotions. But I'm gonna just say this, and I'm not gonna blow smoke. If you want to go see Bruss Hamilton, go check him out, because I feel like we're not going to have him for very long before one of these big companies snatches him up. So, but you definitely need to go. And like I said at the top of the show, and feast your eyes on Bruss Hamilton. Go check him out and see where he is. At Bruss Hamilton Pro is your Instagram, I believe. Anything else you want to shout out, Bruss?
I'd really like to hammer home on Dreamwave, Chicago style, AAW, just the whole Illinois scene, if I could.
Yeah, of course.
Ryan Zishi of Zawa, he's the reason I'm at Dreamwave. And he's an Iron Spirit Pro, gave me my first match that kind of broke the dam so I could show people what I could do. And then Ryan Zishi runs Zawa, and there was a time where he booked me 5 times in 1 month. He just believed in me and gave me every rep I could get to help me, learn faster and get out there. And then asked me to come on with him at Dreamwave, which was, Dreamwave was a 2025 goal, and he got the deal made in 2024.
Yeah,
for me. And and then AAW, I always like to put over Tyler and Vols, the commentary guy. He's been a big staple for me. I go to him for advice on how, things like that. And
yeah, super great dude.
Mike and Danny, the part owners there, and Danny the booker, and Danny kind of came to SCW Pro and to check out ACH when he was there for a little bit, and he caught wind of me as well, and it's like came right up to me and was like, hey, I want to get you up to AAW. Let's get you up there and take a look at you, and put me right in the Bravo family from day one, and told me to sink or swim. Just the Midwest wrestling scene. David Hero in GLCW.
Yep.
He's the reason why I got to do some time at OVW. And then working for him in Wisconsin at GLCW. It's just every promoter has gotten a look at me and just given me a shot. and that's lucky. And I know that that's not how this industry works. I know that is absolute luck. And I do like to reiterate that I have done setup and tear down everywhere. I have.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I have paid my dues. I live on the road and that lifestyle and everything. But I also know that I have advanced very, very quickly due to right place, right time, luck, and just taking full advantage of the opportunities when they are there. And so like even Rhino at IWR, I wrestle for IWR out of Monroe. And so he's one of the first places I did ring crew for. I would drive up there, do setup and tear down, and eventually he gave me a shot in one of his factions. Crowd loved me, so kept me. And now I'm on there. It's just one of those things where like I said, like all these promotions that I've worked with have just given me that shot. I think that I have taken the ball and ran with it. And then and the patience of the promoters. That is something I should reiterate as well. Defiant Pro is one. You know of Defiant Pro.
I do.
I'm tag team champs there. And they gave I think that was my second show there, and they decided to put a title on me, and so that's the kind of opportunities I talk about that these companies have given me, that these promoters look at and they see my potential and they put me in situations to get that potential out of me and to help me rise. And no one's been selfish with me because I know I understand what it's like because other talent have made me aware of it. When this new guy comes into the scene and I'm big and I'm strong and I'm attention attracting because of that, and how I was worried when that started happening at these promotions, that promoters and other talent, maybe that would have a negative side effect and other people would be upset that this new guy's coming in and kind of taking the ball a little bit. But that hasn't, at least not in front of me. That hasn't happened yet, and everyone has kind of made room for me and given me advice and helped me. And I've not had anyone try to steer me wrong or try to manipulate me in a way that might set them up for success and put me down. It's been very, very good experience here.
Yeah, well, a lot of that's got to do with you having the right mindset, you respecting the business, you just being a good dude, just having a great personality, and just willing to help, and that all that goes a long way in independent wrestling, you know what I mean? So, and you're doing everything right, brother. So I just want to tell you, man, I enjoy your work, man. Keep grinding, brother, and it's onward and upward from here, man. So thanks for your time today, man. I know you're super tired from being on Raw last night, so I really appreciate it, man. But I was happy to get to talk to you after being on Raw, so that was cool.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, but I want to thank everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube, and everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, all those podcast platforms out there. I want to thank you guys for listening. I'll be back next week as me and the Marks going to be sitting down to talk about other promotions outside of the top two. So for Bruss Hamilton, I am DB, and we are Top Guys, and we are out.